not have a lot of playing time and you're trying to tell him, is it mentally where he's got to say, okay, I've got to...
Yeah, I mean, you stay the course, and I think that's when you got guys that are really committed to your program. You know, in today's world, when everybody, they don't get what they want, they fly the coop. He's worked. You know, he wasn't ready before. Now, like I said, I got to continue to find more ways and times to get him on the floor because he does some good things for us.
Greg, how much is that in the back of your mind with today's day and age, with the portal, that guys aren't getting minutes, they may fly, as you say, fly the coop? Is that in the back of your mind at all?
Still, you can't cheat the system, the process. You know, it's still about production on the floor and getting results on the floor. And I'm not going to kid myself into putting somebody on the floor that's not going to help us create a positive impact. And so I don't get consumed in that because, like I said, the bottom line is this group wants to win, and their mindsets have been about winning. And I mean, you watch both of them. You know, I pay attention on game films of I don't see everything during a game because my eyes are on the court, but what's the actions on the bench? What's the reactions on the bench? And I'll show them. I mean, the positive, I've only found positive ones. We got our little bench mob down there led by my son and a couple others that, are into the games, and those guys are right there with them. And you'd like to see that they have joy in watching their teammates have success. I think there's an African name for that too. Throwing out, I'm tricking you guys.
We'll have to look it up.
Look it up. It's I don't think it was Kobe that used it, but it was just having joy in your teammates having success. Happiness for your teammates, and these guys are definitely happy when things are going well for their teammates.
Just a couple more guys and we'll get players going. Look at the 6 major conferences. All of them except one have a leader or a co-leader who failed to make the NCAA tournament last season. And most of them are schools, kind of like yourselves, schools that can't really get there to spend last year for whatever reason. I was wondering, in this era of the transfer portal, is it easier maybe for teams to establish programs and themselves to bounce back from seasons that didn't go?
Yeah, I think staying consistent is more of a challenge, just because you can obviously fill a roster or lose a roster quickly. So, the trends that I think we've seen teams establish, I think you're seeing more of those come in jeopardy. Just trying to be consistent. Not that you've changed anything internally, but we depend on development. We've had some freshmen. I got a couple right now that are playing for us. We've had others over the years, but really development is a big piece, and that takes time. Marcus is a great example of somebody that's paid his dues and has worked to continue to get better. So it's going to be interesting to see how if you can sustain the same level of consistency that we've seen with some of the major pro. If there's 3 or 4 or 5 blue bloods, are they going to be able to? I think they will, because they'll be in the market for the best transfers, and they're probably going to have the top 5 kids adult go to this NBA stuff. But can you sustain it over the course of time because of the volatility of the roster? I think we're too early in this process to have an answer for that, but that's something that obviously I keep an eye on and just watch other programs and rosters as a fluctuation happens. I think that's the biggest thing for our success has been continuity of a roster and having time to develop as this group. The credit goes to these guys for staying, and not jumping in 10 different directions after the last season, knowing that we all came back and got better. We could be really good this year. And it's, to this point, it's come true.
Greg, turnover prevention too, especially after how things went early against Penn State. Has there been a heavier emphasis going into Friday's game?
If you've been around us long enough, turnovers are never de-emphasized. So I think the biggest thing with turnover with that was we got out of character. We got sped up, and part of that is related to how they play. But I think I want them to be aggressive, but there's a fine line between being aggressive and out of control. And we went over the line a few times. So from that standpoint, 13 seems like a lot. It's 3 or above our average, but 3 less turnovers and 3 more shots in that game would probably have a different result. So it is a fine line. I talk about it. We show the ones that are really obvious, but I also I don't want to put brakes on their aggressiveness, you know, and I think that's one of the reasons why we had the result we did. But defensively, we had to get better and be better. But it's all connected. Yeah, we're always searching for that 0 turnover game, but I want to make sure we understand there are aggressive turnovers. You know, I'll take a 3-second call in the lane, posting hard. That is okay. I'm okay with something like that. Not a ton of them, but the ones we had were careless. They were self-inflicted. You know, going to places we shouldn't have gone to, going too fast, getting out of it, you know, some pressure and speeding up even more versus taking a deep breath and calming down. You know, just we played into their hands and gave them a lot of confidence with how we handled the first, 5 minutes or so.
What do you see from Indiana, and what's it going to take to maybe bounce back?
Yeah, I mean, totally different approach in terms of how it was, a little helter-skelter on Tuesday. They'll pound the ball to Ware, they'll pound the ball to Renault. Galloway has really improved. The freshman Mabako is a really good player, plays beyond his age. So it's a team that plays through the paint, much like we do, much like Purdue does. So it's going to have a different feel in terms of just the schematic and the approach that there might not be two more teams than maybe Purdue that are night and day different in terms of contrasting styles and approaches.
Have you had a chance to watch much of Jack Robinson this year, and how do you kind of like how his development's going along for you?
I've seen him a couple times live, and then I keep track of how he plays here and there. So I think he's done some good things. He's had to shoulder a lot more responsibility with Nolan being here, and they've changed from throwing the ball inside to Nolan and others all the time to they're a little bigger or a little smaller this year, playing faster. So we've talked about the adjustment he's gone through too, of changing contrasting styles to who they have now on their team, and he's also now more of a marked man. He's going to get the best team's defenders, but he's still been very productive. He's scored a lot of points, so we're excited to see how his season plays out. Hopefully they do well once they get to the postseason. All good?
Thank you.
All right.
So,
You bet.
thanks, Greg.